And joining us now is Democratic Congressman of California, Eric Swalwell. He sits on the Judiciary Committee and is also running for governor of California. Congressman, thanks for coming back onto the show.
Of course.
So, walk us through the strategy. Yeah, of course. Take us through the strategy right now in the Democratic Party. You know, I think a lot of your voters have sort of been anxiously watching from the wings to see what the fight actually looks like. Talk us through what's going to happen next.
Yeah. Democrats are being asked to support ICE, and we're saying we're not going to fund public executions. We're not going to fund roving thugs who are terrorizing women. We're not going to fund grabbing a 6-year-old who's battling stage 4 cancer, who's a U.S. citizen, and deporting him. We're not going to do that anymore. And they're asking for just 2 more weeks so they can negotiate. But 2 more weeks means that we could lose another mom named Good or a nurse named Preddy. And we don't want to have that on our conscience, and we don't want to have that in our communities.
Congressman, let me ask you about that clip that we played from Hakeem Jeffries there for a moment, Leader Hakeem Jeffries. And please tell me I'm wrong here, right? Because I look at that, and I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but the idea of negotiating about judicial warrants is already in the American Constitution. And I think some people may be watching that and saying, like, look, you're not supposed to be negotiating about our rights. And I know that he's coming from a good place. I understand what he's trying to say from a political point of view, but I'm wondering if the message is landing right, that it may seem to Democrats and Americans, hey, what are you negotiating about? You shouldn't be, yeah, I understand you want to negotiate about body cams and that kind of stuff, and you know, but when it comes to judicial warrants, that's already in the Constitution. What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah, that's right. We shouldn't have to ask them to do what they're legally required to do. But I know the sentiment of our caucus, and I know that Leader Jeffries has expressed this, is, you know, no more roving patrols just looking for people based on the color of their skin and the accent that they speak. No more masks. Identification has to come out. Also, you know, there's a real sentiment, you know, in our caucus to make sure that there's more accountability. Most law enforcement agencies in America wear body cameras. And also, I'll tell you, I was just talking to a mom in San Jose, not far from where I live, and she said, you're telling me right now that any masked person who's not identified can just roll up in an unmarked van and throw me in it, and maybe they're ICE, maybe they're kidnapping me. I don't know, because of the posture of this administration.
But, Congressman, what are you hearing from your Republican colleagues? I mean, they do not seem to be moving in the way that the public opinion has moved against these invasive police state tactics that are killing people and murdering people on our streets. Are you hearing, what willingness are you hearing of concessions that they're willing to make, you know, starting with the very simple face mask or the qualified immunity that you're pushing, the bill that you're pushing with Congressman Goldman?
Yeah, you're referring to, we have a bill called Iced Out, Dan Goldman and I, that says no longer can you be invincible. And J.D. Vance has told them you have absolute immunity, which is absolutely nonsense. This would require them to have a more limited immunity, and it would allow a judge to objectively look at what they're doing. We don't want them to think they're invincible. But what Republicans tell me is they want us to be a part of this. They're hoping that we will give them the votes because they have concerns in their own caucus, and they figure if it's bipartisan, that just cleans their hands of this. And I can tell you, after a bunch of Democrats helped them a couple weeks ago pass the ICE budget, I voted against it, and then a couple days later, Alex Preddy is killed. I don't know of any Democrat who wants to support the status quo. And so they're going to have to do this on their own. And I think it's going to force them to have real conversations with themselves as to whether they want to completely own it and not be able to say this is some bipartisan effort.
Congressman, you have also said that California should withhold jobs and driver's licenses from ICE agents. I'm curious where that proposal is going. Is there appetite for it? Is there a precedent for doing something like this, either in California or in other states?
And until Donald Trump came around, there was not a precedent for public executions by federal agents. And so what I'm trying to do is go on offense and protect the most vulnerable in our communities. And I was inspired to see this week that a legislator in Sacramento introduced legislation that would not let law enforcement officers who had worked for ICE to work for state government. And as for driver's licenses, again, it's using the emergency powers of the governor's office to say that I'm going to protect our community every way possible, and if you refuse to take off your mask in routine operations, then I'm not going to allow you to drive in our state. I also think we have to tell our prosecutors, prosecute them for false imprisonment, prosecute them for kidnapping, prosecute them for murder. You have to, as I said, you have to make them react. Otherwise, the most vulnerable are reacting to their lawlessness.
You know, one of the things that caught my eye about that proposal, Congressman, is just that it sounded a lot like some of the conversations that I've been having with voters myself, where they tell me that even just dismantling ICE, for example, isn't enough for them anymore. There is an appetite on the Democratic side now for some kind of punishment and retribution, even though I think that is a concept that maybe Democrats might be uncomfortable with because they've been so angered by the way in which it has been used or weaponized by the current administration. But I wonder if there's an element of that here for you, that whatever happens in the next year, around the midterm or going into 2028, do Democrats need to be promising their voters that they're not just going to reform whatever immigration and customs enforcement is going to look like, but that actually people who took part in this stuff are going to face consequences at some point?
Yeah, to me, it's accountability, it's consequences. It's not punishment or retribution. It's having the balls to actually hold these guys to the laws that we all have to follow. And I know, because I talk to Republicans, I come from a Republican family. I was born in Iowa. I have a wife from the Midwest. Like, I'm around these guys, and they don't think that Democrats are up for holding them accountable. They think that we stand on Mount Olympus and we get too virtuous, and we're not willing to take on these fights with both hands untied from behind our backs, because that's usually how Democrats do it. And what I want to telegraph, as governor, you're going to lose your license, you're not going to be hireable. And in the majority, as Democrats, when we write the budget, we have the power of the purse, we have leverage of subpoena power and putting people in witness chairs. It's all going to come out. And we're not going to fund any ICE that has masks, that does roving patrols. And by the way, there's also a sentiment that Nome can be no more. So we have a list of demands if they want our votes, and I hope every Democrat sticks to it.